Authorities say tap water at Queens Hill Estate safe to drink despite black particles. Smooth traffic flow at Thailand Tunnel on the working day after government takeover. And Ukrainian drones destroy over 40 military planes at a Russian airbase. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. Today is the first working day after the government took over the Thailand Tunnel, and an increase in traffic flow has been recorded. Samantha Lee reports.
On the first working day after the government takeover, the time-varying toll system came into force at the Thailand Tunnel for the first time, alongside the reduced charges and the HKE toll collection system. At around 8 a.m., heavy goods vehicles and private cars were significantly more than before, moving slowly on their way to Kowloon. Traffic flow was generally smooth until news car arrived at the former toll plaza, which used to have manual toll collection. Before entering the tunnel, no congestion along this section of the road. Under the new toll system, private cars passing through the tunnel have to pay between $18 and $45, depending on the time of day, compared with the original toll of $58 throughout the day. Some passengers at the Thailand Tunnel bus interchange said they saw a significant increase in traffic flow. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chen inspected the tunnel's traffic conditions this morning. She said traffic flow during the first 2 days of operation rose by 40% compared with Sundays in the past, and traffic increased by 10% between midnight and 6 this morning, which met the authorities' expectations. She hopes with the new tolls and the HKE toll payment system, the tunnel will be able to divert 5% of peak hour traffic from Two Moon Road. When asked if more traffic lanes can be added at the former toll plaza, the transport chief said the authorities will modify the toll booths and some other facilities to smooth out the traffic flow. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The Water Supplies Department believes the black particles that recently appeared in tap water at Queens Hill Estate in Fanling originate from material that flaked off in the water pipes. Authorities have already collected samples for further analysis. Despite local concerns, the Water Supplies Department stressed the tap water is safe for consumption. As Timothy Lee reports, area residents remain unconvinced.
For the last several days, residents of Fanling's Queens Hill Estate have been dealing with the surge in black particles found in the tap water. This as Water Supplies Department staff arrived on site to collect water samples after receiving reports of the incident last Friday. They have already cleaned the estate's water tanks in a joint effort with the Housing Department, emphasizing that the water is safe to drink. Director of Water Supplies Roger Wong said the particles are possibly materials that have flaked off in the water pipes, adding that they are harmless when consumed. But he stressed this is abnormal, given that Queens Hill Estate is relatively new, adding that the authorities will investigate the matter. Despite the reassurances, residents remain unconvinced. This woman said she's still scared to drink water laced with black particles and is especially worried about her children getting sick from it. While this woman believes the water is still contaminated and prefers to buy bottled water. Meanwhile, Environmental and Polar Research Chair Professor Ho Kin Chung of the Education University of Hong Kong, who was once a member of the Drinking Water Safety Advisory Committee, echoed the authorities' belief that the black particles are harmless, but said the government should prioritize local residents' feelings. He suspects the maintenance problems are involved and urged the Housing Department to track down the source of the particles as soon as possible. Timothy Lee, TVB News.
The police handled some 440,000 cyber threat cases targeting the city's networks over the past year. Authorities noted 5% of networks involving essential infrastructure suffer from security loopholes. The police said the primary cyber threat involves phishing links, which make up 280,000 cases. The Cybersecurity and Technology Crime Bureau of the force said around 5% of the more than 90,000 networks involving Hong Kong's essential infrastructure had security loopholes, particularly among the banking, financial, and communications sectors. Meanwhile, a total of 7,680 technology crimes were reported in the first quarter of this year, an increase of 1% year on year. Ukraine launched drone attacks on Russian military airfields, destroying more than 40 planes deep in Russia's territory. But drone attacks in the Kursk and Voronezh regions sparked residential fires and disrupted traffic on a major highway. This happened just hours before a new round of direct peace talks between the two countries are due to take place in Istanbul. Tracy Furness reports.
A video released by Ukrainian Security Service shows a Ukrainian drone attack that has destroyed more than 40 Russian planes deep in Russia's territory. The furthest site, Belaya Air Base in Russia's Irkutsk region, is more than 4,000 kilometers from Ukraine. The attack took more than a year and a half to execute and was personally supervised by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, according to a Ukrainian security official. The operation involved the smuggling of drones to Russia and launched from wooden houses that were placed on trucks. Zelensky praised his security service for a brilliant operation on Russian military targets. He said the 34% of the strategic cruise missile carriers stationed at air bases in multiple Russian regions. Meanwhile, one person was killed in a Russian attack on the Dnipropetrovsk district of Ukraine's Kherson region Sunday. Local authorities say a grocery store was hit as shoppers and staff were inside. This as a sweeping US sanctions bill could be the West's last chance to choke off the Kremlin's war economy, according to Senator Lindsey Graham speaking in Paris.
We saw credible evidence of a summer, early fall invasion, a new offensive by Putin. He's playing the game at the peace table. He's preparing for more war. And I think the Senate is fed up with Putin. The American people see Putin as unreasonable. They say Ukraine is trying. President Trump has made that distinction real. So the Senate and the House of Representatives in the next 2 weeks will be moving forward with a sanction bill that's bone-crushing.
Tracy Furness, TVB News.
Nationalist opposition candidate and Eurosceptic Karol Nawrocki won the second round of Poland's presidential election. He earned slightly more than 50% of the vote, dealing a blow to the reform agenda of the pro-EU government. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen congratulated Nawrocki on his victory. He defeated Liberal Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski. Nazvi Karim with more.
A historian with almost no political background until recently, a nationalist and patriot in the Donald Trump mold, indeed even endorsed by the US president who welcomed him to the White House last month. An amateur boxer with reported underworld connections who once boasted about being involved in a noble fight involving more than 100 football fans. 42-year-old Karol Nawrocki is Poland's new president after a tense and tight runoff with Liberal Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski, earning 50.98% of the vote compared to his rival's 49.11%. The race was so tight, Trzaskowski at one point held a slight lead, prompting him to declare victory prematurely. His supporters celebrated without realizing it was not over. Nawrocki, tapped up by the Conservative Law and Justice Party to give them a fresh start, will replace fellow Conservative Andrzej Duda as president. Prime Minister Donald Tusk remains in charge of the day-to-day running of the country, but the president has the power to veto legislation, which Duda sometimes did to frustrate the ruling coalition. Nawrocki was most recently head of the Institute of National Remembrance, which embraces nationalist historical narratives. He led efforts to topple monuments to the Soviet Red Army in Poland, putting him on Russia's wanted list. For his supporters, Nawrocki stands for traditional and patriotic values, opposing LGBTQ+ visibility and abortion. While supporting Ukraine against Russia, he has accused Ukrainian refugees of taking advantage of Polish generosity and has vowed to prioritize social services for Poles. He's expected to pose an even greater obstacle to Tusk in passing legislation. Some observers say Tusk may struggle to fulfill his term until the next parliamentary election in late 2027, especially if the Law and Justice Party, which governed from 2015 to 2023, seeks to ally with Conservatives in its coalition. Nazvi Karim, TVB News.
In the U.S., 8 people were injured when a 45-year-old man yelled "Free Palestine" before throwing explosives into a crowd in Boulder, Colorado. The incident occurred during a demonstration remembering the Israeli hostages still in captivity in Gaza. 4 women and 4 men aged between 52 and 88 were taken to hospital for treatment. The suspect, Mohammed Soliman, was also hospitalized after the attack. Authorities believe he acted alone. FBI Director Kash Patel described the incident as a targeted terror attack. The Boulder attack comes just over a week after a man was arrested in the fatal shooting of 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. The assailant in that incident also shouted "Free Palestine." With U.S. tariffs imposed on foreign vehicles, some industry representatives say the move will help rebuild the American auto sector. But not everyone is convinced it will boost competitiveness. Jackie Lynn reports.
Los Angeles driver Joyce Wong has long been a user of European cars. Just as she was planning to trade in her 6-year-old car, news broke that U.S. President Donald Trump was mulling a 25% tariff hike on imported vehicles. Wong sold her car immediately and paid for a new one of the same brand the next day, before even taking a test drive. Joyce Wong said the levies forced her to make a crazy decision. The day after Wong placed her order, the U.S. confirmed the new tariffs. She paid $48,000 for the vehicle. Now the same model costs over $55,000, a jump of more than 50,000 Hong Kong dollars. Wong said one friend who urgently needed a car after an accident ended up buying the same brand, which cost $15,000 more. A 25% tariff hike also applies to imported car parts, a move Trump insists won't create shortages, as costs will simply be passed on to consumers. Still, some customers don't seem to mind. They believe tariffs could help revitalize domestic auto manufacturing. Louis Liu, this auto repair shop owner in the San Francisco Bay Area, said American workers are the backbone of the economy. He said if they don't have jobs, who's going to buy these products, no matter how cheap they are? In the past, U.S. automakers slashed costs by building factories abroad, but Liu believes the globalized model is losing appeal. He said globalization has decimated many countries' industrial foundations. Some analysts argue the U.S. has already lost its lead in car manufacturing. They warn that new tariffs may not improve American competitiveness and could further disrupt already strained global supply chains. Jackie Lin, TVB News.
Still ahead. More than 30 Palestinians said to have been killed near a food distribution site in Gaza. The first case of Group C rotavirus in Hong Kong causing the death of a doctor at Princess Margaret Hospital. And a call for more parking spaces in Yau Ma Tei and Tsim Sha Tsui. Welcome back. More than 30 people were killed and scores wounded when a large crowd in Gaza came under fire while receiving food. Gaza health officials put the death toll at 31 and blame Israeli forces. Israel's military denies its forces fired at civilians. The aid was being distributed by an Israeli-backed foundation, as most international organizations are banned by Israel. David Garrett reports.
Palestinians panic and one man tells women and children to flee as quickly as they can. Smoke rising behind them from what appears to be an Israeli shelling on a group of people who were waiting for aid distribution in southern Gaza. This man, severely injured, was carried away in a blanket. The Red Cross Field Hospital say they received nearly 200 injured. Ambulances rush to the scene and then quickly take the heavily wounded for emergency care in hospital. At Nasser Hospital, blood stained the floor of the packed emergency room. Many young people were caught up in the attack. Medical teams worked frantically to save lives and limbs.
Many injured. This small child, 7 years old, with an amputation. Another girl before, 9 years old, dead.
Ingurtis admitted a girl with brain injuries could not be saved. This bloodied man is comforted as he tries to recover from injuries. Israel's military deny involvement, saying an investigation found their forces did not fire on the crowd. The IDF released drone footage showing armed gunmen shooting at civilians. Hamas is preventing the successful distribution of food in Gaza, the army said. Although Israel continues to hit Hamas targets, smoke could be seen in northern Gaza with a way forward on peace talks no closer or clearer. Hamas says it is open to indirect talks with mediators Egypt and Qatar, trying to get new assurances from the US and Israel. Italy's president has had his say on Gaza. Speaking at an event to mark the 79th anniversary of the Italian Republic, Sergio Mattarella hit out at the treatment of Palestinians. The Israeli army must make Gaza accessible to international organisations, making it possible to resume full humanitarian assistance. Children to the elderly being reduced to hunger is inhumane, Mattarella said. Meanwhile, in another part of Italy, climate campaigner Greta Thunberg and 11 other activists have departed, aiming to break Israel's siege. The Madeleine left the port of Catania. These campaigners on board hope to dock in Gaza in 7 days and distribute food and medicine. Previous attempts to take aid into Gaza by boat have been stopped, allegedly by Israel. The Conscience came under attack by 2 drones while sailing in international waters off Malta in May. David Garrett, TVB News.
The UK, like much of Europe, is bulking up its defences and is building 12 new attack submarines to join its nuclear-powered fleet. The new generation subs will be a model jointly developed by the UK, the US and Australia. However, the increase in defence capabilities comes at a cost, and the government have not yet committed to further spending. Prime Minister Keir Starmer is still waiting for the UK Treasury to confirm if he will be allowed to spend a promised 3% of national income on beefing up the military. NATO says it wants member countries to spend 3.5% of their GDP.
We will defend our homeland by investing in our air and missile defence to better protect these islands. We will create a hybrid Royal Navy, blending drones with warships, submarines and aircraft to patrol the North Atlantic and beyond, supporting thousands of brilliant shipbuilding jobs, including right here in Govan. Under our AUKUS alliance with the US and Australia, we will now deliver up to 12 attack submarines, protecting Britain's waters.
Back locally, the Centre for Health Protection has completed its investigation into acute gastroenteritis cases involving 3 oncologists at Princess Margaret Hospital. One of the doctors passed away. The centre said the 3 doctors' cases were not related. Infectious diseases expert Yun Kwok Young said Group C rotavirus was found in the deceased. Mimo Singhai reports.
Led by Yun Kwok-yong, the Department of Microbiology's expert team at the University of Hong Kong detected Group C rotavirus in 5 tissue samples from the deceased doctor. But the virus was not found in the stool samples of the other 2 doctors. While the team said a direct relationship between Group C rotavirus and the cause of death remained uncertain, it was the first time the virus was detected in Hong Kong. The Centre for Health Protection says rotavirus is divided into groups, including A, B, and C, with symptoms being fever, vomiting, and diarrhea. Group A rotavirus is predominant and mainly affects children under the age of 5. Yun Kwok-yong said Group C is a rare type of rotavirus across the globe. He said Hong Kong had rarely tested for the virus, which was why medical authorities were unaware of the situation. Yun, meanwhile, said a 29-year-old woman was also found to have been infected with Group C rotavirus after tests were conducted on more than 900 fecal samples collected from Princess Margaret Hospital and Queen Elizabeth Hospital. He said the possibility of a community outbreak is low and urged the public to maintain good hygiene. Momos 9, TVB News.
Lawmakers from the Yatsimong area have urged the government to set up more car parking spaces. The lawmakers said Yatsimong currently features about 20,650 public car park spaces and 1,194 parking meters. But still, parking violations in the area are a serious problem, with 870,000 traffic tickets issued to drivers last year. Lawmakers hope authorities will increase car park spaces at locations such as the Central Kowloon Route's reopened work sites and the area under the viaduct opposite the old Yaomate police station. That's the news. Thanks for watching. Pearl Magazine is up shortly. See you then.